I mean, you have to, no, you don't have to, but it's good and it's helpful if you make a really clear decision. I want to stop harming others, and as much as possible I want to benefit. I mean, this is when you take refuge, you make a, when you do take refuge, you say, I am a Buddhist, this is the thing that you do. You're not harming others voluntarily by saying, they deserve it, they started it. Now we still do. We still do harm others because of the karma that we have, because of habits and tendencies, all that. But at least we recognize that, that's not what I wanted to do. And then we do purification and all this. But we still do. These habits we carry with us for a long time. So I would not agree with your definition completely, but I see where it comes from. Yeah, so then if you look in Theravadan countries also, they look at the Buddha in a different way. Like Buddha is somebody that disappears into Nirvana and that's it. And not in the, also in these, with these views, not everybody can become a Buddha. In what is taught in the Tibetan tradition is that everybody has the potential to attain full awakening, meaning having a mind that is totally purified of all shortcomings and having developed all qualities. The qualities in terms of seeing things as they are, having universal compassion, universal wisdom, and skillful means to guide others. And you know, Buddhism, when you go like Western Buddhism a bit, sounds very logical and all this. When you start to read up on the qualities of a Buddha, you go like, because the qualities of a fully awakened being is beyond our comprehension. This is why also sometimes when you read sutras and they describe the Buddha, they say, well, you know, the capacity or the qualities of a fully awakened being is like 10 times millions the grains of sand on the beach of Tel Aviv. Or it doesn't say beach of Tel Aviv, it says the grains of sand in the river Ganges. But like, for us, not comprehensible what a Buddha's mind or what an awakened mind actually could be or is. And this is a little bit the problem that we do. So we don't have, you know, because we're very materialistic and whatever we can't touch or smell or see or weigh, and we say, oh, you know, that somebody can kind of manifest in many, many different forms, as cars, as bridges, as trees, as dogs, as humans, and then disappear again. For us, it's like, huh? That somebody sees, you know, the past, present, future of all beings simultaneously, we go like, huh? So it's a bit tricky, you know, when you describe what the Buddha is. So I wouldn't do that at the beginning, because when I, how many of you have studied Uttara Tantra? It's a very beautiful text, actually, which is, it starts with, like it has 7 points. And it starts with the qualities of Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. So the problem there is, it starts with telling about the qualities of the Buddha. So actually, it's not for beginners. This text is not for beginners, because then you go like, what is this fantasy? What are you trying to sell me? You know, kind of thing when you go about the qualities. Because at the dentist, my dentist in Switzerland is very interested in emptiness, and he likes the logic behind it. And so I didn't recommend the book to him, but he fell upon the book, Uttara Tantra, started reading it, and said, oh, you know, I lost all faith, because this is just pure fantasy, because he's a scientist. Yeah, so a little bit like that. Yeah. So a bodhisattva, yeah. So bodhisattva, I just finished with that one. I give you the definition, or you want to give me the definition?
No, I just wanted to ask you. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, it's fine.
No, go ahead. It's fine.
I said, is it because we're so far away from it that we can't comprehend the subject?
I think so, yeah. I think so. I think it's a bit like, you know, somebody who lived 1,000 years ago, and then you come with them, you show them a movie, already they don't know what is happening, they get frightened maybe. And you show them a movie of people having something square, and they kind of go blah, 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 and somebody very far away has something square in their hand also, and they go blah, 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 and actually they talk to each other. They would say, huh? You know, or you put something into something that is not cooked into another box, and then you press a button and it comes out cooked. They would go like, huh? This is what, you know, this is a bit, maybe this is a comprehension. If he would have given them a smartphone, it would have taken them ages to understand how this works. You give a smartphone now to a 5-year-old, you know, they understand quicker than you do. Okay? Yeah, it's because it sounds so fantastic and so like, what? Yeah, because we think we are the top of creation. We think better than humans. Nah, cannot have. That's why. But the Buddha was an ordinary human being. He was an ordinary human being. He was not born as this extraordinary being. But it's quite an extraordinary accomplishment, so this is why it takes quite a bit in order to get there. But as we go there, then already kind of, you know, we get better on the way. How many of you have been practicing, you see that, oh yeah, it's getting better a little bit. It's getting easier, there's more joy, there's more space, I don't get upset so much anymore. I mean, for the ones who really practice, not just listen to the teachings. Practice means listening to the teachings, thinking about, reflecting upon the teachings, and then meditating on the teachings. And then going out and trying it out, meaning not running away from difficult situations, but, you know, not to overdo it, but put yourself, like for example, make a decision, every day I do something that, one thing that I'm afraid of, for example. Every day I do something that I don't like. And I change my attitude towards them. I'm not doing it out of duty, then it's done. No, but I don't like to do it, but before I do it, I change my attitude so that something positive, I can approach it with a positive attitude. That is the practice. The practice is not just sitting on the cushion and studying and doing pujas and mantras and hours of meditation. Practice is to decrease your negative emotions, to get to know your mind, and then to see that, I'm getting less angry, or less attached, I'm getting more calm, and all this. Yeah, but without being obsessive about this one. Okay, so bodhicitta has 2 parts. And when you, the 6 perfections is like, when you have decided to, yes, I want to attain full awakening. Yeah? That would be one part of bodhicitta. One part. Only one part. The second part is because I want to lead all other sentient beings there. Now, when you say, like somebody who puts off his enlightenment because otherwise they disappear when they're Buddha. You're not disappearing when you're Buddha. I mean, that's what the Tibetan tradition says, which I quite like that view. And also other traditions, like Zen tradition and, you know, all the Mahayana traditions, is that then you have these qualities and you keep coming back again and again and again and again until everybody is out of samsara. How did I get to that? Now I forgot my phone. This is another thing, you know, the older I get, it's like,
Make me a drink.
So, bodhicitta, bodhisattva, so, yeah, so, I mean, these 2 parts, they really the attitudes, okay? So then they talk about 3 different attitudes. Have you heard about them? And they differ in strength, but then again you have maybe the attitude of one, but you do the other one, because that one is not practical. You remember?
Give me an example.
The attitude like a king, the king-like attitude. Maybe now rings a bell. The ferryman attitude and the shepherd attitude. Okay? So the king-like attitude is me first. I need to attain enlightenment, then I take everybody else. Like in ancient times, it's not like this anymore. Now the prime ministers, they're not standing in the front when there is a war. They stay at home in the shelter. But at ancient times, you know, when there were still the knights going and having these fights, the kings, they would be in the front. And once the king was dead, the war's over. So maybe we should go back.
I don't teach them this.
Huh?
I don't teach them that.
You didn't teach them that?
Yeah.
Okay. But it's quite good to know also.
Yeah.
It's like, so that's a very good attitude. I need to be first, you know. I need to know how to get out of samsara through experience, not just by theory, and then I can take everybody out. The ferryman attitude is like everybody together. Like ferryman is somebody in a boat, okay? and you go with the fan, everybody together. The shepherd-like attitude is everybody else first, and then me. Everybody else first means, as a Buddha, you will be very comfortable, because your suffering is finished. Because the causes of suffering you have totally exhausted, yeah? So you'll be very comfortable. But it's like, no, everybody else first. But that one is not practical. So actually, you do the king-like attitude, but for your attitude to be very strong, then you have what you said. You would put off your enlightenment, but this is not practical. So that's why. So bodhicitta means, basically translated literally means the mind of enlightenment. The mind whose enlightenment is like, again, like, what is enlightenment? But awakening. The mind that wants to attain the state that is free from all suffering and the causes of suffering. Why? Because because we're all one family, and of course if you become a doctor and somebody is sick in your family, you treat them. You're not saying, oh, no, you know, come and see me in my cabinet or whatever. You do it immediately. So we're all one family. We're the family of suffering beings. And we suffer, the suffering that we have is totally useless because it's based on wrong views. I mean, it's like, it's so crazy, you know? Okay, so then it's very strong. It's this wanting to get out of samsara. Why? Because you see everybody else has the same sickness, and this is why. So, and then that's a bodhisattva. Bodhi means full awakening. Chitta means mind. So a bodhisattva is somebody who has bodhicitta in their mind, meaning spontaneously. When you say, you know, sometimes people say, oh, he or she is such a bodhisattva. You have no clue. How can you say? You don't know. Only you can see whether you're bodhisattva or not. And I know that I am not. Yeah? I aspire to go there. You know, and I do practice these things, but I don't have spontaneous bodhicitta in my mind. This is why every morning when I wake up, but I don't have it here, I have it in my commitments that I do every morning. I have these written things that are very, very structured and very it's not things that I came up with. We have them from our gurus where it says, for example, whoever sees, hears, touches, thinks about me or smells me today, may it only benefit them. Whatever I'm doing today, may it only be of benefit to others. And then slowly, the attitude becomes like this. And then the memory, then it becomes like the memory going to the shop. You say it in the morning, and something still lingers on as you go out. And if nothing really bad happens, you actually still have the attitude in the evening. If somebody is really nasty and awful to you, you lose it. And then you gotta, you know, get rid of that person and change them or whatever. But and then in the evening again, you know, we go to bed with this. I'm going to sleep now, so that tomorrow I'm rested, and when I'm rested, I'm not getting on other people's case. I'm not harming them. I'm happy. So you actually work for your happiness. Not in order to have your happiness, but in order not to harm others. And that becomes an attitude which is then slowly, by using these words, becomes genuine. At the beginning it's just words. Inside is still me. Ego chitta. So you see, we have spontaneous ego attitude. And it's good that we have it, because if we don't have that, you cannot have an attitude you want somebody else to be happy. We have this spontaneous sati or mindfulness. I want to be happy. I don't have to remind myself. It's there. And it's good, because it's our nature calling us. Okay? But then what we do, we just widen it. But not just me. I look around, why just me? Like everybody else is in the same boat. So you have these methods for developing bodhicitta, like these very logical arguments almost, saying, well, you know, for example, what? What are the points that you would think about when you develop bodhicitta? Ego citta we don't have to develop, we already have it, I hope. You need this. In order to be a healthy human being, you need to be concerned about your well-being. And a bodhisattva is not somebody who, oh no, I don't care about myself, only the others. Bodhisattva is not the Polish mother. Okay? Dad says, you get everything, I don't need anything, and then she dies of hunger or something. Maybe rather depression than hunger, because the kids don't pay back her attention that she's giving. I heard, I don't know if it's true. So one part in the Polish mother is good. Yeah, I'm not important, happiness of you is important. But when she neglects herself and she's not happy when the children are happy, when they go out for a party and they're not coming home Friday evening for the Shabbat meal. Yeah. If she's happy saying, oh, they're safe, they're with friends, they're having a good time, then if she's happy about this, then it's fine. A bodhisattva would be happy about this. When they're safe and everything is okay, they're not staying with me. It's okay. So like that. So then you have constant happiness, because you will always find somebody who is happy. Yeah? See what I mean? Like you rejoice in the happiness of others very spontaneously, as if they were your own children. So in a way, so one of the arguments, can I have one point how you would develop bodhicitta? Whatever, there's many, it's like 6 and then 1 and then there's 4, huh?
Maybe we are all connected. If you benefit others.
How are we all connected?
In the ultimate reality, we are all connected.
No, you see, ultimate reality is emptiness which has no function.
Okay.
I mean, the emptiness of us, all us, is all the same, but it doesn't really have a function. So, for example, I don't have a cup, but if I would have a cup here which is empty, the empty space in the cup, and the empty space outside. Well, it's okay, but you don't need. Anyway, so the empty space in the glass and the empty space around the glass is both the same, but it has no function. But it's a good thought. It's true. The emptiness of all of us is all the same. So, but like official kind of arguments, the points, how you develop bodhicitta, that come before the 6 perfections, huh?
Practice the paramitans.
What?
Practice the paramitans. Practice, you work on it.
Yeah, I mean, once you have developed engaging bodhicitta, you practice the 6 perfections. But what do you do in order to develop engaging bodhicitta? How do you think? What are the points? I'm sure if I say, everybody will go, oh yeah, of course.
You decide that that's the way to achieve happiness.
Huh?
You have to make a decision. You have to realize that it's
one thing.
worthwhile.
But then how does it help to support? How does it help you to support that, me and my family first, and then the others, or maybe the others not at all, to everybody? Because that's what bodhicitta is, the happiness of all beings. It's a big thing, So you need to help your mind to go in that direction. You can't just tell the mind, okay, from today on, now you work for the happiness of all beings. Your ego will say, are you crazy? I mean, come on, I don't even know how to look after myself, that I'm happy all the time. Now you're asking me to look after others. What do you say? Give me one point.
You have from the Lojong to see them as a...
Lojong is you already have bodhicitta.
Yeah.
Okay. All beings have been our dear mommy. Not the one from this life. At one point, they've been a very, very, if she wasn't good in this life. I'm sure Alon's mom has been very good, because otherwise they wouldn't have come out. So I told her she's done a really good job. Would you agree with me?
Yeah.
All of you mothers have done a good job. Otherwise you wouldn't be here. Meaning they gave you birth, so that's one thing. They didn't abort you, so that's sorry. Can I? Is it for me?
Yeah.
Can I help you?
Yeah. Okay, so we need to come to the 6 perfections anyway. So, for example, all the beings have been our mothers, and then you go and you see the kindness of the mother, and then, thank you very much. And then you see the kindness of the mother. Then you want to repay that kindness. Because when you see the kindness of somebody, we have a very, very natural human thing, which is great. We want to repay it, otherwise we feel not comfortable. Then we will develop love, kind of we're very happy when she's happy, or when they are happy, like we talk about all sentient beings, and we develop compassion when they're not happy. And then we see, but as long as I stay in that state, which I cannot liberate myself from samsara, There's nowhere I can help her. And then you have this losang in Tibetan, this extraordinary thought. I have to attain enlightenment in order to free all sentient beings. So that's one method. The other method is exchanging oneself for others. We see the disadvantage when we are only thinking about ourselves. And for that, we look at somebody else who is like this. Do you know somebody like this? Oh, how fortunate. You don't know anybody personally that is, you think, well, man, they're really, really selfish, they're only thinking about themselves. You don't know anybody? Like this? No?
No.
This gentleman here doesn't know anybody, so maybe you have to bring them some examples. You know, people only think about their happiness, neglect others, and you don't know anybody like this. Do you live on top of a mountain without anybody around?
Cave.
In a cave, yeah, exactly. Okay, so there are people, but you know, it's not to judge them. It is not, we don't look at them to judge them. We look at them and we see, when they're only concerned about their own happiness, what do we see? What do we see? They're lonely, nobody likes them, you don't want to spend time with them. You know, they come up with something, then you say, you have an argument, you say, no, it's not true because you dislike them. It's very difficult for us to like this person, and then you start to see the suffering of that person. That's why you look at that person, and then you go like, hey, but this is the same for me. When I'm only thinking about myself, I make it difficult for all the others to like me. I make it difficult for them to stay with me, you know. I also hurt their feelings.
Usually you stay away from that person.
Yeah.
But sometimes they are reaching their goal because they're taking care for nobody, just themselves. Yeah. So they reach, I don't know, scientists or artists or whatever, they reach the top of the...
And you think they're happy?
I'm not sure.
What would help you to generate compassion? When you think, oh yeah, they're really happy? Or when you think, they also have some suffering? What will be more helpful? Because we don't know, as you say, we don't know. We assume, and then the moment we assume, it becomes more and more and more the truth. And then we look at them with our, oh wow, look at them, they're happy that they exploited everybody. We don't know. But we can assume that they might not be happy. Maybe they cannot sleep because they have a bad conscience. Maybe they cannot sleep because they're frightened of losing all their stuff. Maybe they cannot sleep because they see that nobody likes me because I'm such a horrible person. Maybe they need like 20 bodyguards and big walls around their house. And then what happens when we think like this? We get less jealous.
You don't want to become like him.
Exactly, we get less jealous, so that's what I mean. So we see the disadvantage of changing self. Then we can't go into that in detail because there's a lot we can talk about. One evening can be filled just with that. And then we see how can we change that? By seeing how dependent we are on others. There's not so many old people here actually. It's quite amazing because
we just look young.
Huh?
We just look young.
Because they practice, yes. You're not so old, I think, usually. But you know, as people are getting older, maybe not so much here because you have the system that Filipinos are coming and Nepalis to look after you in your home. But in Europe, in Switzerland, like there's the big fear of having to go into an old people's home. And the argument is always, then I lose my independence. Being independent is a huge illusion. None of us is independent already now. The only difference is you don't see the people that work for you, you know, or you don't care about them, and you don't have to say thank you or whatever. I mean, just imagine if all the garbage people would stop working. They get better jobs, they say, no, thank you very much, you know, because it's not a dream job. You know. Maybe as a kid, when you see as a small kid, you see them having, you know, like going on it looks like fun, isn't it, to hang on there and then to be transported and the roads are empty in the middle of the night, but I don't think it's a dream job. So then they always find better jobs, they know, nobody else needs to work. Can you imagine? Can you see how dependent we are on them and they are not dependent? Well, yeah, they also need cardio, but still. So one starts to think like this. One starts to think about how dependent we are on others, then you develop gratitude. So when you hear them 4 o'clock in the morning, instead of going, because you know in Switzerland now we had like 36 degrees also in Bern, so they decided to start working at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning so they don't have to go in the middle of the day, and so some people got upset because they woke them up. Can you imagine that somebody gets upset who comes to collect your garbage, and you get upset? I mean, how distorted can we be? No caring about, oh, well, they okay, they work in the heat, they work, so what, you know? Can you imagine the smell? You're here, you can't smell of these garbage things when it's hot like this, and you have to, fuses come out of that carriage like this. So we're totally depending on these garbage people. So please, when you see them next time, at least in your heart, have a thank you, and then, how can I repay that? At least you can, you know, you kind to them, and maybe you say thank you from time to time when you see them, and say, wow, you know, I'm really happy that you're doing this job. How wonderful, thank you so much. These kind of things, yeah? And then you kind of slowly equalizing ourselves with others, because also we have this inherent attitude that I am special, isn't it? Of course, Peter, I hope so. I am special. And then we want everybody to see that I am special, and then they have to treat me as if I'm special, and blah, blah, blah. Well, listen, if they don't, then they're in trouble or whatever. You see, the more ordinary you become, the less problems you will have. The more you think you're the more you think you're special, the more problem you will have, because everybody thinks they're special. So, you know, who are you to think that you should be more special than them? Yeah, and everybody should, you know, tell you how special you are, so that you, because you're not, we're all the same. You know, we all suffer, nobody wants to suffer, we all want to be happy, nobody's really happy, no speciality, no special there as well. So then we start to equalize ourselves with others. My happiness is not more important than the other person's happiness. So same as with your children. When you have your own children, you can put your happiness behind theirs, is zero problem, and you're happy when you see that they're happy, even though you gave them the last cookie and you didn't have one for your coffee. Yeah? So we train the mind to have this attitude for everybody. So basically, you know, you see everybody with the gratitude as a child for the mother. But when you act like the mother to the child. Okay? You see what I mean? Because children are not so grateful to their parents. Yeah? You know, they don't put their happiness behind the parents' happiness spontaneously. But parents do, normal parents do, and we are luckily enough, we still have enough very normal parents. So then again, then the step comes where you start to, when you said Lojo, when you start to exchange your happiness for other people's happiness. And then also this kind of view, okay, others are more important. In order for me to benefit them, I need to attain enlightenment. Okay? How do I do that? By practicing the 6 perfections. Once you have developed this attitude, I want to attain enlightenment, and then it becomes like a memory, then that will guide you to then, whatever occasion you find to practice these 6 perfections, you take it voluntarily. The same, you know, how many of you are going to the gym where you have to pay money? You know, okay, one more.
We are paying the money, but not going to the gym.
Yeah.
We're just paying the money, but we're not going to the gym.
That's stupid, isn't it?
Yeah.
As if just paying the money is making you fit. But imagine, you know, you pay all this money and you go to the gym and then there is no machines there. You'll be disappointed because you want machines, and you also know you need machines that are an obstacle. You're not just going to those that go very easy. Yeah, okay, it's fun, but then it gets boring and nothing happens. Yeah? So also when you come home and the next day you wake up and you have pain in your body, you're happy because you know you worked hard. So doing these things, it's okay if it hurts. You know, when we talk about 6 perfections and bodhicitta and compassion, we always think we have to be happy doing it. And it should immediately bring a result that, oh, we're happy and all this. It's difficult because it goes against our habits of me first. It's, oh no, you first. And you see, so it's very good. You make yourself at home, you make a chart, and you put the advantages of putting others first and the disadvantages of putting others first. And you see which list is longer. I guarantee you at the beginning, your list of the disadvantage of putting others first is longer at the beginning. Then when you start doing it, slowly, slowly, the list of the advantages becomes longer and the other list becomes shorter. I did this exercise with teenagers in the south of Israel. They didn't find one advantage of putting others first. The disadvantage, everybody thinks you're a coward, you're a friar, everybody takes advantage of you, la la la, like this. You know, not one advantage. So this is why it has to become voluntarily, because, you know, I mean, these kids, this is why I like to work with teenagers and kids, because they're honest. You know, we wouldn't dare to put on the, you know, we would cook up the advantages because we heard them somewhere, you know, like you become a kind person and you get great connection with others and there's happiness and all this. So we would put it, maybe we write it, but we, inside, no, really feel like it. You have to try it out, then you feel, then the list kind of changes a little bit. Do you see what I mean? Okay. So the 6 perfections become only perfections when the purpose of it is to attain full enlightenment. Otherwise, it's just positive actions. Okay? And they only become, you can call them paramitas or perfections, when all 6 are included in one act. So you have to be mindful when you do it. So when you give money to a beggar, now we could start a whole discussion, is it good, is it not good, depends on your attitude. So when you give money to a beggar, you can just either throw it, or you can say, you know, you can see your friend is there, you want to impress your friend because you're a Buddhist, you're such a kind person. If you're alone, you never give anything. When your friend is with you, then yeah, all kinds of attitudes, you know, and who knows what attitude you're having?
Only you.
Only you. And whom are you cheating when you pretend?
Yourself.
Only yourself. So no point. Yeah, no point. But you can have it with an attitude, one day may I give you Dharma? Or thank you very much for helping me practicing the first of the 6 perfections, which is generosity. There was a beggar, he wasn't a beggar, he was dressed very well, he had a bicycle, he was in the train station in Bern, and he came to say, look, I'm really sorry and I'm really embarrassed, but would you have given me some money for me to buy some food? You can come with me and you can see what I'm buying. So I said, no, I'll give you the money, then whatever you do with the money is your business, not mine. He said, you know, it's really embarrassing. I said, no, you gave me the opportunity to practice generosity, so thank you very much. Because these 20 or, I can't remember how much I gave, francs or something, probably for 10. I mean, it doesn't make 0 difference in my life, whether I give it to him or not, in my present life. You know, whether I have it in my wallet or not. I'm not going hungry because I have more than these 20 francs or something. You see what I mean? Yeah. So, but he gave me the opportunity to practice generosity. So whenever the situation comes, if you have decided that you want to attain enlightenment, and paramita actually means going beyond, if you have decided you want to go beyond samsara, then whatever occasion comes, like in the gym, you go also, you're not going on the biggest machines when you haven't trained. You need a trainer to tell you, okay, do this, do that, and then move like this, because otherwise you damage yourself. Unfortunately here, you have to become your own trainer. And the more you know the Dharma from like what comes before, the better you are prepared for these kind of things. Okay, is that clear until now? So I had to go on about bodhicitta because otherwise it just becomes positive action and then it doesn't have to do anything with the 6 perfections. So, so the 6 perfections are, shall I ask them?
Yes, yes.
Who wants me to give in one row all the 6 perfections in the right order? Okay, behind there, if you maybe, I know it sounds stupid, but can you stand up because otherwise we can't see you and we can't hear.
Sorry, I misunderstood.
You have to shout.
I misunderstood you. I thought you asked who wants me to.
No. And the other
אני רוצה להגיד את
What I
שלך.
can.
בסדר
In the right order.
It's
Try.
generosity,
Yeah.
moral,
Uh-huh.
patience,
Good.
rejoicing,
Yeah.
rejoicing effort, I think,
Yeah.
and meditation and wisdom.
Oh, very good. Perfect. That's the right order.
She's not my student, she's my friend.
Huh?
She's not my student, she's my friend.
The neighbor.
So you practice, the order is important, although I said you practice all 6 together, but the order is important because whenever you go higher up, it becomes more difficult, okay? So generosity you practice because it leads to non-attachment. So then, for example, you have a box here?
Yeah.
So it's a bit difficult for me to say because it really sounds as if I want to manipulate you into giving a lot of money, which I don't. Because I have the good fortune, even if I stay here 3 months in Israel and I go home without any dana because all the dana went for covering the costs, I don't suffer. I have such a good situation. I don't have much money, but I have enough. So if I go home without anything and I kind of worked for 3 months for nothing, it's okay. So I definitely don't want to manipulate you into giving a lot of money, please.
I'll do the work later.
But no, what I'm going to say now is going to sound, it is doing the work. So when you see the box, then look at your mind and see how you are deciding. Are you giving as much as you can, or are you giving as little as you can? What are you afraid of when you put in a lot of money? Where is your fear, you know? And then just see your attitude and see it. Do you see this box as, you know, kind of duty, I have to give something, calculating, or you see this box as an opportunity to kind of go on this path to enlightenment? So it's all about attitude, yeah? So you really check. And when you put something in there now, okay? Now, then you have to think, have I earned this money? Because the second one is ethical conduct. Is this money earned in an ethical way? Or did I steal it from somebody? Did I cheat it out of somebody else? You know, in Switzerland, we have this thing with associations. It's like when you have an association which, yes, gives some money to projects. But the money that you donate there, you can deduct it from your taxes. So yes, it is good to give that money. But again, the attitude is not so great because it's for you not to pay so many taxes. It's like, so you can put the same amount of money with a good attitude. Yeah? And then the not paying of the taxes comes automatically without you having to think about it. But if that's your only attitude when you create an association or you give money to an association, I'm afraid it's not so pure. It's not it's not the perfection of generosity. Yeah? So, but it leads to less attachment, and what you see is, you know, attachment creates a lot of fear. So then when you put money in the box or to the baker or whatever you are whenever you practice generosity, look at your fear, you know, look at your attachment. That kind of, that spoils the joy of giving. You see, when you give freely, as much as you can, it's the economy of the heart, actually. When you give freely, you have an immediate result. With meditation, the result comes much later. With studying, really, it comes much later. Generosity, the result immediately is there. You feel rich. You feel happy that you can give something. And you can, you know, like me, I feel very happy that I can give you these things without needing anything back. It's great. Because I won't get disappointed, you know. But if I have this attitude from the beginning, I don't need anything, then I go home with nothing, it's okay. If I only say it, and then still thinking, oh, but then they will give me a lot of money because I talk like this, la 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 la, and then at the end, people say, look, sorry, we actually made not even benefit, but we had to add. So then I would probably help them pay whatever they make deficit, because I don't want them to suffer. So you, from your side, you have to make sure that the people who organize this don't make deficit, because they do pay for my journeys, they do pay for my travel.
If it's done for the right reason, it usually comes back to you, whatever you give.
Yeah, it comes back where we don't have to think like this, you know, this
Yeah.
is what I mean. This is what I mean. So, but this is, we practice generosity to overcome our fear of losing, our fear of, you know, not getting what we want, our fear of missing out, and that fear is so big. And it's actually holding us back from being kind. Because the biggest fear is being taken advantage of. That somebody might think, oh, she's so stupid, I can ask her whatever she wants and she does it. But what's the problem if they think that? Maybe let them think that, it's their problem, it's not mine. You know? If I decide I give my time to others, whatever I can do, and as you say, usually something comes back, maybe now, maybe later. You know, it doesn't always come back to the same channel, it comes to another channel. So then, you know, some people sometimes they call me, they say like, wow, you're so naive, you know, you're so kind. I said, look, I prefer to be naive and kind than to be very clever and intelligent and unkind, because it makes me feel better. I'm healthier if I feel kind. I sleep better if I feel kind. I feel more spacious when I'm kind. I might be stupid and naive. Boo, it's okay, I don't care. Stupid and naive doesn't make me spend some hours of sleep, like kind of lose some hours of sleep. You know, stupidity, I still sleep. It's okay. Yeah, so like that. So attachment is really there for generosity to kind of to check our attachment. And you see also when we give, if you have like 2 books of the same kind, the same book, and you decide to give one away, one is old, one is new, which one you give? Really?
Yeah.
Spontaneously? To the second-hand
Because
shop?
the old is very expensive. It is the first edition.
You know, not a book with your notes in it and all that. But let's say 2 sweaters, okay. All of a sudden you notice that, okay, let's not argue. If you do that, fantastic. Does everybody do that?
No.
If you have 2 banknotes, one is really old and one is new, which one you give first? The old one. There we go. Okay? Yeah. Usually when you give, you know, you kind of clean up your cupboards. Do you give your really new, nice things away, and you say, oh, these other ones I used to wear? Yeah, I mean, as you say, there are people like this. Let's not argue, okay? There are people like this. It's fantastic if you have that attitude, but not everybody has. So the talk is for those who don't. It's okay, you don't need it, it's fantastic. But even I catch myself sometimes, you know, to see that I'm not giving the best thing away. I'm giving what I don't need or what I don't want. And then when you see it, you change the attitude. If you already do it, I mean, that's it. It's great. Now, if you have less attachment and less fear, it's easier to have ethical conduct. Because with ethical conduct, sometimes we can avoid paying things by lying, taxes, transport. Like in Switzerland, we don't have these barriers. We can just go on the bus, and bus here also, but train. Yeah, there's no way you have to put in your ticket, otherwise you can't get out. So all this. So when we don't have the fear of, oh, you know, and we don't want to save at any cost, then it's easier to, without attachment, it's much easier to practice ethical conduct, even if it would be very expensive. So we're very interested in being ethical, but when it's uncomfortable, or when it's to our disadvantage, or when it's expensive, we start to hesitate, isn't it? Again, let's be honest. We hesitate. Even I, you know, I feel it. It's such a habit. Maybe you're all